All right, let's call this meeting to order, 4:33. Consideration of any changes, additions, or removals to the agenda. Doesn't seem to be. Public comment. Approval of minutes, November 20th, 2025.
Those were sent to you guys previously, but I do have the,
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes November 20th, 2025.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay, thanks.
Minutes approved.
Yep. When,
Department managers report.
okay, this is a long one, so my apologies in advance. So, I didn't bring that either. Jeez. Okay, I'll just do it by memory. The McSully, no, I got that. The McSully recording report, but that's okay. So the first thing is, we got our financial systems audit letter report. They sent that to you all directly, which was good protocol. And there weren't any financial anomalies. They generally liked our systems. They felt like they were good considering the number of staff we have, and they felt good with that. There were 4 recommendations that I wanted to go over with you, and unfortunately, I didn't bring a copy of the report. You guys have a copy in the new stuff that I provided for you.
I have,
The
I've
tariffs?
got mine.
That's the one.
No, the report from
The clipped
looks like
stuff.
this.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, so right after the agenda and, the next thing in your packet there is the 2026 meeting schedule and the 2026 holiday schedule. The third thing in there should be the McSully McCoy report.
Actually, there's some other stuff in there.
Is there?
But so.
Oh, there's
It's just
There's the holiday, there's the meeting schedule, the holiday schedule, and the organization chart, which I thought you'd want in the book.
okay.
Okay? So McSully and McCoy report, we hired them to do the financial audit, systems audit, not the annual financial audit. And they saw 4 things. Most manageable. I have proposals for the ones, they are all manageable. I just have some different proposals for them, and I've discussed some of them with Shannon. Can I go to number 3 first? Because this is all me. So discrepancies in the mileage report that they caught. When I was traveling from Randolph to here, I was doing mileage reports for the days I was coming in. Sometimes it was 1 day a week, sometimes it was 4, sometimes it was 3 and 2. And I'd send a version of that to Shannon and to Lisa. There were a couple of weeks when I'd take the old email and I'd change the date and change the mileage based on the day I was there. But there were a couple where I didn't change the dates, so the date on the email did not match the week that I was talking about. Lisa caught those, fixed them, but nonetheless they saw it. So I'm just mea culpa, sorry, it was a couple of times through that. The mileage was right, and they are recorded on the mileage sheet for approval, so we're all okay in that respect. And I'm not doing that anymore anyway, so there you have it. So I apologize for that. Back to 1. So this is the problem of having a small staff. Michael and I both have full administrative authorities over banking. We're able to move money, change accounts, things like that. And we have a system in place where one of us does not do that, particularly Michael doesn't do that without my authority. But it's hard to tease apart the system that the bank has, and we're working with the bank to see if administratively we can figure out how to give some authorities to employees and not others. Right now, it's it's a bunch. It's just the whole thing. You either are authorized as an administrator or you're not. So we're working with the bank to try and fix that. In the meantime, we've got mitigating controls in place where Michael is not authorized to do any type of check payments or any payments at all without my sign off on them. When Shannon and I talked about this, Jean, we thought it would be useful to have her as a secondary signer rather than Michael, so that if I'm not there, she's got that first authority. There's another thing that, as long as we're on this subject, which really wasn't raised in the report, but I think it would be prudent to do, and I think you guys have talked about this before, about approving invoices in advance of me paying them. Right now, I pay them, I sign off on them, I pay them, and then you come in, sometimes look at them. But I think a better
I try to
system.
come regularly.
Yeah,
I
you
come
do.
more regularly, but I know they've already been paid.
Exactly, so you're kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
It's a review.
It's like rewrapping your Christmas present or something, I don't know. I think a better system, and I wanted to feel you guys out about this, was, so weekly, we get this, which I'll pass around just for like show and tell, but it's a list of all the invoices that we're gonna pay. A total of that, that's what the adding machine thing is on the left. And it's a list of all the invoices we're gonna pay and the amounts. Normally, and then the invoices are in the folder. Normally, I go through the invoices, I sign off on those, and then I go back and I also initial the sheet on the front. I think that if we can get Shannon as a secondary signer, as a signer on the accounts, but also to, like, each Thursday is when we run the checks, I would meet with her, have her go through this list, she can sign off on them, and then I'll do the invoices or vice versa, but we'll have that second control there. So, I mean, you've seen, yeah, you've seen that version. So then, that way they're approved in advance by the chair, and then then we'll send the checks out. So we'll do it that way, if that works for you guys.
On a Thursday.
Does that sound
basis.
okay? It'll be basically on Thursdays, unless there's a holiday on a Friday, we'll bump it up a day or something,
Yeah.
but generally. And what I'm thinking, Shannon, the easiest thing was probably for me just to drive up to see you with this packet.
Yeah, which is fine, and maybe we switch our.
I was just gonna say, is that gonna work for
Yeah,
Shannon?
right. We talked about the mechanics of
Yeah,
it,
we
but
did.
how would you
And-
like
And
to?
so we do a weekly meeting on Mondays, so my suggestion was maybe we do our weekly meeting
On Thursdays.
on Thursdays
Cover this too.
and cover that as well.
But it does need, we need to be physically together, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Unlike a phone call.
So instead of a phone call, we would do a.
Yeah, we can either do it in my.
weekly meeting Thursday, I
yeah.
can come down, you come up.
Yeah,
or-
exactly. We'll try that.
I think it should be done in the office if it can be.
Yeah,
That's
which
my
is
two-
fine.
That's my 2 cents.
It's-
Okay,
it's-
I think,
I just feel like that kind of information and that it
No,
just
that's-
should be done in the business office.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's at the end
If
of
you're
my
okay
road.
with that.
I'm fine with that.
okay. Yeah, and that way.
I mean, we could even essentially do our weekly meeting over the phone and then
And then do
come
this.
down,
Yep,
or
yep.
whichever. I
Whichever
mean,
works.
However,
Yeah. But yeah, Jean, that's a good idea. That way we don't have to worry about losing any invoices in.
I just
No, that's-
think it's a
no,
good practice.
It
It
is,
is.
absolutely, 100%.
So that covers number one, and number
Is that
two.
something we have to vote on?
No, well, I don't think
I
you
don't
do.
think so.
I don't think you do. It's
As
just
long
a
as it's part of the, your procedure.
procedure. It's a
Right.
procedure, not a policy,
Okay.
right? Yeah, so. And then, number two, this is where the controller, Michael, receives all the bank statements, performs the monthly reconciliations. Up to this point, we don't have a documented review of the statements or reconciliations. I'm gonna start doing that. Michael's been giving me the reconciliation, so I'll go through those each month and make sure those are checked. and we'll establish that as a formal documented review. So that's how we're going to try and address that one. And number 4,
Is this,
oh, go ahead.
is this in your report?
No, what's in my report is we got this report.
Okay.
So I wanted to go, I said,
Okay.
and my report says, I'll go through these recommendations with you at the meeting. So
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry
right.
about
So
that.
they're part of the.
That's why I
minutes.
said this is
They're
going
part
to
of
take
the
a little
minutes
longer.
then.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
All right, so then number 4 is, this one is a little weird, and it only applies in one instance. We get water delivered, the water deliveries to the shop and to us, and they're on handwritten receipts. They write, the guy writes like what he's dropping off and how much it is and puts that there. So that's the handwritten aspect of this that they're referring to. We do get monthly statements from them, which we double check with the receipts. And what we're going to ask them to do is to provide written invoices as opposed to just the handwritten receipts we get. So we're going to do that, and that's the only vendor that this is an issue with, so that's what they identified. Other than that, I think it was a clean report. In executive session, I want to talk to you about one more aspect that I'm reviewing on this, if that's okay. All right. Then, now to the rest of the report. Sorry, there's a lot this month. We met with IBEW today. We came to agreement generally, but we'll do that in executive session as well. And if we're okay, then we're done with that. I'll explain that. Stonehouse Solar, there's an I-39 application to ISO New England that's required for interconnection, and we've been working on the documentation for that. We've provided everything that we need to VEPSA, so has our engineer, our electrical engineer. And VEPSA is compiling that, and we'll get it to Velco, who will apply on our behalf to ISO New England. Generally, Velco is the entity in the state that deals with ISO directly, and the rest of us minions don't do that. So that's moving forward there. Okemo was before the DRB a week ago Monday for their approval of the 2 buildings they need for the compressors. Ebb said it went well. We sent a letter on our behalf, on his behalf, and he was appreciative of that. As of today, I don't think they have a decision yet, but they expect it will be approved. On budget, there's a lot to talk about on budget, but I think I'll just wait until we get to the budget stuff. What I can tell you in general is that after we did our initial budget, which was was a balanced budget, which I was very pleased with, we got the power. We had increased an estimated 4% increase in power. It actually went up 12%. We got that notice the next day, and then just yesterday, we got another 2% increase. So it's like 14.8% increase in power budget beyond what we thought it was going to be. And as you know, power and transmission are 79% of our budget. So it's a huge piece, and I'll talk about the ramifications of that when we talk about the budget stuff. In looking at the details of it, there are 2 charges that are new, that make up the bulk of it. $175,000 of the increase was what's called an ancillary service charge from ISO New England, which the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved ISO to do in 2025. It's now coming and hitting us in 2026. It's $175,000 for us. If it makes you feel any better, my understanding is that GMP's charges $1 million a month. So it's a huge new increase, and I'm not sure what ancillary services mean or why. I don't. Anyway, it is what it is. Another $300,000 is an increase in transmission costs from Velco. It again speaks to this being a driver in our budget that we can't control. And while we can control only by doing 2 things. Increasing in-service territory generation or reducing our peak loads when we pay the most for electricity. And we have some ideas on that. As you know, the solar project will help, but that's not going in until 2026. Won't really have an effect for us until 27. The compressors that are going in from Okemo are going to be supposedly in place the fourth quarter of 2026. Those are going to draw more electricity, but they'll save us in other ways. The RECs and things like that will help. And the battery project that's pending with Okemo is not going to go in until that time at soonest, probably more likely in 2027. Meanwhile, it was brought to my attention that there's a vendor out of Waterbury, Vermont, that works internationally with leasing batteries on trailers. They have different sizes from 1 megawatt up to 4 megawatts. You just put multiple things together. And they're specifically designed for things like FEMA, hazard, emergency events when they bring the trailers to places that don't have power. But lately they've been trying to use them for peak shaving, exactly our problem. They've been using them mostly in Connecticut and Massachusetts for summer peaks. So they have these trailers available in the winter that aren't really being used. So they approached us to see whether we could use them. And I was like, this might work. So we're exploring that. They might have 2 units available immediately that we could do as a pilot. And I'm looking, not necessarily for your permission, but just like saying, do you think that this is okay? I wouldn't do it unless it, at least if it didn't save us money, broke even. So the goal would be to try these out and see if this works. Preliminary numbers that Michael probably doesn't want me to quote because he's checking them out to make sure they work, is that if we actually lease these at their normal rate, which their rate is $30,000 a month per trailer, sounds like a lot, but we're expecting a $600,000 bill for our power in November, just to give you an example how this might work. He thinks we would save about over $1 million in energy costs, plus we'd be shaving the peaks of those times when we're paying the most for electricity. So I think I might want to try this out. Brett's going to go up to, I hope he's going to go up to Waterbury to look at their systems, going to check with our engineers to see what's involved in hooking them up to one of our substations. And maybe we can do a pilot and see if this works.
So would they be located at the shop?
Substation.
Probably at the
substation,
substation, and
okay.
probably at Howard Barton Jr., I would think. Yeah.
So that would, so essentially, Okemo Vale is going to be leasing us that land for the battery project.
Well,
This-
their battery project is a permanent siting,
Right,
and yes,
right.
they would be leasing, actually, Light Shift, the company that's putting in the batteries there for that. This would be on our property for a pilot, just for the pilot project, to see if this works.
In Okemo, or Vale, rather.
Yeah,
They are essentially leasing that land to us for free in order to get power on peak time for them, right?
Yeah, again.
Wasn't that part of the agreement?
It is part of the agreement. So if assuming their battery project goes forward, which I assume it will, the reason I'm kind of hesitating on the lease thing is the lease is between Okemo and Light Shift.
Right.
And to my knowledge, that lease agreement hasn't been finalized yet. I asked Eb about that about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything different. And Light Shift says they're still working with them, so it's still not finalized. But yes, Okemo's going to lease them that land for free. Light Shift is going to provide the batteries. We're going to operate the batteries, so we get control over when they get charged and when they get discharged, so that we have the ability to do that. Light Shift will make some money through the amount of electricity going back and forth through that.
So if we do this with the trailered batteries, are we still going to be giving them Vail the,
Power? Or,
yeah, because
Yeah.
wasn't that part of the agreement? We'd give them a specific amount of power if they were gonna lease.
they are the ones that we're trying to target as the peak here that we're trying to shave. So yes, there would be a benefit to Okemo, there'd be a benefit to us. And
There wouldn't be a benefit to Okemo on these here, because we would be footing the bill.
well, yes, but they would be getting reduced demand charges, right?
Why should they?
No.
No.
No?
No. They
Everybody's
should-
saying no,
why-
except
why-
for me.
Why would
Okay.
they get the benefit of it if they're not paying for any of it?
We
We want to trigger that to save our power costs, but it shouldn't be passed on to them because they're not paying anything.
Unless they pay
Okay,
for
but they
the
pay,
trailer.
but they pay for peak power right now through VEPSA, and we just pass it through, we don't add
No.
any cost to that, no?
No, we
See,
bill their
I
peak
learn
power.
something new every day, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we bill their peak power, not through VEPSA. We
Okay.
get the data from VEPSA, but we still bill it,
And do we bill it at an increased rate? Do we have a margin there?
based upon our tariffs, the snowmaking tariff.
Okay. If we reduced, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if we were able to reduce the power, I see what you guys are
No.
saying. They
We
would
want
not,
it to
yeah.
benefit us. We don't-
Yes. This
we
would
need it to benefit.
this one would benefit us.
This
You're
is a
right.
separate battery project from the one that we
Right,
started
right,
with
that's-
Okemo. It's
yeah.
two
And I'm
different
sorry
battery
that
projects.
I was
So
confusing.
we're
it, but
not,
I-
yeah, so we're not giving them that extra benefit
No.
because this is.
No,
a
if it
separate-
works, it's
It-
going to be spread amongst all of our customers because it's going to lower our power costs.
Right.
Okay,
And again, it's a pilot, so if we were to do this on a permanent basis, we would certainly refine the things so
Right.
they understood it better. Sorry.
and as
This-
a pilot, is that a 1 year?
It's actually a 3-month thing. We would do
3
it,
months.
we would do it January, February, and perhaps March,
Okay,
depending on how this works.
which is actually timing wise good.
It is good from a peak load
Yeah.
standpoint, yes, so it could help.
And when do we,
Well, they proposed an agreement to us for the leasing. I've got Sarah reviewing that agreement.
okay,
Meanwhile, they're gonna send us the electrical specifications for interconnection, which Alan Rice is gonna look at, our engineer, and Brett is gonna take a ride up to Waterbury to actually see them in place and see
Yeah.
how that works and judge the connection based on his knowledge of the substation or what
Yeah.
needs to happen there. And then we'll make a decision.
and we could potentially, you said $1 million potentially be saving.
That would be a full year. This
that
one,
be a
this
year?
one,
Okay,
yeah,
that
this
was- yeah.
one, I'm hoping to break even or just make, reduce our costs a little bit.
Yeah.
It's only 2 megawatts over 4 hours, which is, it's helpful. It's good as a demonstration project, but it's not really what we need in terms of really reducing peaks where we can save, tens of thousands of dollars. So this'll, like I said, I won't do this if it's gonna cost us money, but if it breaks even or makes us a little money, then I will try this pilot and see if it
Yeah,
can benefit us over the long term.
okay.
Okay? But those are really the only levers available to us to deal with power and transmission. And anytime we produce power in our service territory, it saves on transmission because we're not bringing it in from elsewhere. I met with Commissioner Carrick Johnson yesterday, DEPS Commissioner. Certainly brought to his attention the fact that I felt like we were doing really well. We're doing good work here. I told him about you as a new board, me and my work since I got here, the changes we've made, and he's very pleased with where things are going. He does want to meet with us at some point. He's going around to meet with all the utility managers, and I will invite you guys to that. It would be great if you could come. If all 3 of you come, I'll warn it as a special meeting. But I think it would be good for you to meet him, for him to see your level of interest in this. It's not been scheduled yet. I will coordinate that with you. So when you see the budget, when we talk about that, you're gonna see that we're inevitably, unfortunately, we don't see any way around, about going for another rate increase this year. And if we do that, before we do that, I would like us to revisit all the tariffs, which is why I made you a tariff book. So we each have those. I'd like to start the discussion in January when we meet again at a regular board meeting and set aside a decent chunk of time in that meeting to talk about the tariffs and what you see and what your experience is based on the fact that you live here and you also have electricity charges and things like that, to see what works, what doesn't work, and what you'd like to change. It's been a long time since these tariffs have been changed and updated. So my request is if you can read them during the month of January when you have nothing else to do, or you feel like punishing yourself, that would be great. And then we can start that discussion and figure out how to do it. But we would need to finish our work by March or April of next year. So it gives us 4 months. And then we would anticipate a rate increase. We would anticipate filing those tariff changes with the PUC, followed by a rate case in May to take effect in July, the same way we did this past year. So that's the concept there. Last meeting, I brought up the desire to have a line of credit. Gene suggested we do an RFP, which I did in November. I reached out to 4 banks, 2 declined to participate. Berkshire and M&T were interested. We filled out an application for M&T. At the time of my report, I hadn't heard back from Berkshire at all. I heard from them yesterday. So I've included both of those in your packets. Berkshire, and they're both very similar, except for that Berkshire wants us to open up an account with them and keep an average balance of $500,000 in that account. Kind of defeats the purpose, frankly, of having the line of credit, because we don't have the $500,000 just to have sitting there. So my recommendation is that we go with the M&T one and that you authorize us for Shannon and I to enter into that loan agreement. It's $500,000. Last time we talked, it was a $300,000 revolving line of credit. Found out since then that as a municipal entity and to get the tax exempt status, we're not allowed to use a revolving line of credit. We can use a non-revolving line. So that's why I bumped it up from 300 to 500,000. And the way this works is, for a revolving line of credit, I was anticipating if we borrowed up to 300,000, paid it back in the next month or so, we could borrow that 300,000 again. That's not how that instrument works. We, as a non-revolving line of credit, we can borrow 300,000, we pay the 300,000 back, but we can't borrow that same 300,000 again, and that's why the next 200,000 was requested, right? So we can borrow up to 500,000 a year, even if we borrow it and pay it back along the way, which is what our intent is. So we got approved for that. M&T is interested and willing to do that. The rate is based on the federal rate, and it seems very reasonable to me. I've included both of those in here in your packets if you want to look at them, but I think basically the request is that we go, my recommendation is that we go with M&T's offers, because we don't need to open a separate account and we don't need to keep a balance different than what we're already keeping. Questions on that? Okay. I think that's it for my report, other than Shannon and I, what I didn't include here, I meant to bring copies, is Shannon and I worked on a press release for announcing that I'm actually here, and some of the things that you've been doing over the past year. I sent that out to the Rutland Herald and to the Vermont Journal. And so.
Not a big deal, but in the future, I'd like to see it.
that
Maybe
in
Logan
advance.
should too, before it goes to the paper.
Okay.
If it's already gone, that's fine, but I'd very much like to stay in the loop, okay? And I'm pretty available.
Yeah.
So.
You are.
Especially when something like that goes out to the newspaper. Before it goes to the newspaper, I'd like to be able to say, I knew about it, I saw it, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I think.
I did
think-
review it, it was, you know.
That's not the point, that, and I don't need to review it, I just would like to be in the loop, so when it hits the paper, in case I don't read
not
it
a
that
surprise,
day, I don't
yeah,
always
yeah.
get the Rutland Herald.
Right,
But I
right.
don't want somebody to say to me, oh, there was and I have to say,
Perfectly
oh,
fair.
there was,
Right.
okay?
Perfectly
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that makes sense.
I just have a couple of small things.
Sure.
Don't lose sight, and this is probably not a good time of year, but I think we talked about a site visit at the Stone House, the project where
Yeah.
it's going to be. I know there's just a field there now, but again, I like to be able to say to people, I know where it is. I've seen it. No, it's not a good time now, but
Okay.
just don't lose sight of that.
Okay.
And the other thing, could you report, because I've heard it in other meetings, but I'd rather hear it here. What's the story with the battery charger in the parking lot? Do we have one?
Oh, the battery, yeah, those,
Could, that, you know,
Yep.
again, that's the kind of thing, if it's going on in the village,
You're right.
please keep me in the loop,
Fair
so
enough.
I don't hear it at another meeting.
okay.
And I have to say, oh, where is it?
Yeah. Okay, so what that is evidently the Town Planning Commission was looking to establish some electric vehicle charging stations. They were gonna propose, there's a grant available to install those on municipal property. They were gonna put them here, and it turns out that the parking lot where they were gonna put them isn't actually owned by the town, it's by a neighbor who didn't want them. So they were looking for other municipally owned sites that they could do, and they asked us if we would host them, and I said, yeah, we got some spaces we could do. And so their electrician came out, looked at it, and made the application. We didn't have anything to do with the application per se. As far as I know, that's pending for grant review or approval, and the town has there's a match that the town has to do, which they've agreed to pay for. So we would be hosting those. In the context of that, the Sunoco station right adjacent to the office wants to put in chargers as well, higher speed charging. And if we were to do this, we would probably do the electrical work, underground stuff ourselves, get paid from the grant to do it, charge Sunoco for their portion of hooking them up at the same time. And so they would have stations, we would have these, those would be what's called level 3 chargers, which are fast, but very expensive. I don't know how they're gonna pay for it, but there are lease arrangements and things like that they could do with the company. The ones that we would be getting would be level 2, which are not as slow as putting it into your house plug, but it's basically thinking about the difference between a 110 volt system and a 220 volt system, something more like your dryer. So it would still take, hours to charge a car, but I think my only concern with hosting at a couple of spots there would be, and we don't want people parking there all day, right? We're just gonna have to feel that
Ask
out.
Yeah.
Or maybe even all night. But, so who pays for that?
The town pays for their cost match to the grant, and the grant pays the balance. I'm sorry, you're right, that's something that should have been included in the report.
Again, let us know. Pick up the phone, send me an
Yeah, yeah.
email, just so I know.
Absolutely fair.
That's me, but I'm sure
Yeah,
there are
no.
other people on the
Yeah,
board that
that's-
would like to know too.
Very fair. I apologize for that. And I will keep the field visit on the radar screen. Anything else on my report? Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Move on to the outside operations manager's report, number 6.
Streetlight maintenance, we had 3, substation monthly checks, and then the regulators, and we're working on the permit so we can hopefully get all that stuff scheduled for next summer. 10 dig safe locates, 3 service upgrades, vehicle maintenance, L34, we had to do batteries and alternator, and that's the truck that's due to get replaced. Did tires on L30 and 31. Safety meeting was rubber gloves, insulate and isolate. Winter maintenance, shop and office. We did the Christmas lights for the tree in Ludlow and in Proctorsville. Actually, the Proctorsville tree we did twice, because we got them up, they all worked. The night they went to light, only 2 strands at the bottom, because they had wind, and they didn't have any more, so we put new ones up yesterday. And then the AMI meters were just over 600 meters installed today.
So I have a question about the AMI meters. I had one of our customers come to me and ask me about that. Did we send out, we sent out
It went out on the bill
information that they were
2
going?
months ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so she came to me and said she only got the information that was tagged the day of it being installed.
Mhm.
She said she didn't get the information we had sent out 2 months ago, which,
Yeah, because it's on everybody's bill.
It's-
That's what I thought.
It was a bill
Okay.
insert. It was done as a bill insert.
No, it was it was posted on the bill.
On the bill, on the back
bill?
side of the bill. on the
Okay,
front
so
side,
maybe
yeah.
she didn't see it.
And then-
She was worried about the fact, when I talked to her about it, that, you know,
The radiation
the
stuff.
radiation from the cell phone
Yeah,
versus,
yeah.
you know, the AMI meter.
We also put a
It's right outside of her bedroom
Yeah,
where
still-
her head is.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
So she was very concerned about that.
So we did also put on our website a comparison sheet of some of the typical radiation you
Okay.
get from cell phones, from microwaves, from
Mhm.
that. And we also have copies of, Terry has copies that she hands out to people if they are asking questions at
Okay.
at the thing. We could certainly send that to her directly if that would be helpful so she
I
can see
suggested
this.
she come to a meeting
Yeah.
or even just to
Okay.
call Terry
Yeah.
and,
Terry's been sharing that
Yeah,
information
okay.
with customers as they
Alright.
call with any questions. To my knowledge, we've had 2 opt-out requests that we've honored, so, but it's going really, I mean, they're zipping along, which is
yeah,
great.
you got
Yeah,
600 done by today.
yeah, so, yeah, we got about 3,000 to do, so it's not a bad chunk of those.
Right.
So,
And then the training process on the AMI
You know,
meeting.
it's all going good.
It's going good,
Yeah, we're working bugs out.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's gonna take time. It
Yeah.
takes time to learn anything, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So will there be procedures for that in terms of how that changes the way we're doing business now?
Yeah. In terms of the work, Brett and I have already talked about some of the things the guys are going to be doing instead of this, because they won't be reading meters.
Right.
Okay,
In staff, I need to wait, I know I've talked with you individually about some of the workload issues, right? I need to wait until these are installed entirely and running for a month or so to see where we are with some of
Okay.
that, okay? But that is definitely something I'm paying attention to, and we want to figure out how to efficiently use people's time now that this, you know, meter reading and some of the other stuff is more automated, so.
Right, but we're still doing, you know, spot checks for,
Right.
say, trees, and how often are we gonna be doing that? If we're not doing meter reading once a month?
Probably do it every, take a rainy day, crappy day, and just every couple months,
Yeah,
cruise the system, because it won't take long. If 3 of them just
Yeah.
running around, it's not gonna take long.
yeah, yeah. 'cause
But
we're
the
not actually
balance
having
of
to get
that-
out- Are they, like, getting out of the vehicle and going to walk towards the meter or?
Well, I mean, some of the stuff they're gonna have to, mostly
Right.
you can see from vehicle if there's an issue or
Yeah.
if something needs to be trimmed. We're gonna try to do some more trimming ourselves versus hiring it out, so we'll have a little bit more time to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
and is that's from one end to the other, it was 4
it's
years?
Our whole system, well, no, it was a 7-year trim cycle, and it's not making 7 years. Doesn't, stuff's growing way faster than,
Last year.
Is that something we want to adjust?
Last year, you did increase the tree trimming budget by, geez, I want to say almost 50%, our share. We have to get TDS, or is it TDS? It's
Yes,
TDS.
TDS.
TDS. What we didn't do was connect with TDS last year and say, we're increasing our budget, would you increase yours? Because they share 50/50. This year, we did do that, so hopefully they're increasing their budget for 2026 to match ours.
Are
So
we
that,
still dealing with those poles that are still on?
unfortunately, yes, that is still a problem.
but we did get an extension.
We
so-
got an extension
Okay.
from FEMA, well, through the state now. That didn't make, I mean, it's good that we have the extension, but it doesn't help the problem, which is we need to get TDS to move to the new
No,
poles.
Not TDS, Comcast.
Comcast, sorry, jeez.
Oh,
All those communication companies are the same.
There's only 3, right?
I know, right,
4.
sorry.
4.
Anyway, we got to get them to move off of those poles before we can pull them, and the pulling of them is what finishes our grant
okay.
obligations.
Yeah,
But in terms of the rest of it, I started talking with Brett about, it sounds like there's plenty of maintenance to do and some rebuilding.
Upgrades.
Some upgrades that we need to do on our system that the guys will then be able to focus on when they're not, since they're not
The
gonna
other
be.
thing you gotta take into effect, I mean, these meters aren't gonna be bulletproof. There's gonna be, you're gonna have issues with them. And the other thing is, these meters we're pulling out are 60 to 80 years old, some of them. These meters are good for 10 years and you're changing them again. So, 10 years goes by fast.
yeah, it does, it does. And I know we had discussed, like, the homeowners were going to be, they had to hire an electrician, or,
If the meter socket is no good, the issue we're gonna have is connecting after the meter to the house. The issue we run into is some of the old meters are 110 systems. We're gonna bring 220 in there, they're gonna have to pull it off one leg or upgrade their panel box inside. We're not gonna get involved with anything after the meter socket.
right, once it's,
We'll replace the meter socket, the entrance cable. From that point forward, they need to have an electrician tie their connection points in.
how many houses do we think we're
There's
looking at with
no-
that? I mean, my house is old.
Yeah, but you've got a regular meter socket, so you're not gonna have, the problem that we have, more or less, is, like the other day, when we freaking pulled the meter, the freaking jaw broke off in it. And we were lucky enough to have some meter sockets at the shop laying around that we could change just the jaw and not have to change the meter socket. Granted, a lot of new meter socket, everything we require now needs to have a disconnect, so if we change them, they have to, it's gonna be a meter socket with a breaker and with a disconnect, so. If I had to guess, we're probably between 70 and 100. That's
They're gonna
probably the
have to hire an
highest,
electrician.
and that's depending on what happens with pulling them and changing them.
So how are we informing those people?
Those I'm leaving to the end, because for one thing, I don't wanna take them out in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Make them do it. Some of these are camps that are at the lake, so it's not as much of an issue. They can deal with it come summertime, springtime. What we'll do is when we go around, we're just gonna note them. We noted most of them when we did meter reading. They noted what were old. We physically knew need to be changed. The problem is we're gonna go and check some of these, and we might have some emergency repairs that we're gonna have to do.
Right.
And then we're just gonna have to deal with it and figure out.
And do you think at that point when they'll opt out on the AMI, or will they?
It
Will they
doesn't-
have to upgrade either way?
They've gotta yeah, I mean, the old mechanical meters are going away, so even if somebody opts out of it, they're gonna get a digital meter.
They're still. they
They're still getting a
have to,
digital, it's
okay.
just not gonna be an AMI communicated meter.
Right, okay.
The mechanical meters have gotta go away.
I think just to follow up on Shannon's question, though, if we, as we do our surveys, if we discover somebody's likely to need to do electrical work, how do we let them know that?
I will notify them.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Like phone call and a.
Phone call and a site
Yeah,
visit with them,
okay.
just so
Good.
they know. That way I
Yeah,
can,
that's-
not just
I think
that, I
that's
can
important.
give them what we require and.
Right. Okay. And you're thinking up to like 100?
Yeah, hundreds on site.
Yeah.
Believers.
What might that cost somebody to do that?
So they're changing it to 220 from a 110?
110 to 220, well, some are, but a new 100 amp meter socket, I mean, you're gonna be 15 to 3, depending on if they wanna stay with 100 or go to a 200 amp at that point. So you're gonna be, 1,500 to 3,000 for somebody to upgrade, depending on what extent they need to do inside.
Does that include the electrician they're paying for, or
Yes.
just?
And normally,
Do we want-
normally they would pay for the sockets, but because we're instigating this, I think we're paying for more than we would normally pay for to get the meter installed.
Mhm.
But all the electrical work from there inside is what they're gonna have to pay for.
I mean, if we change the meter socket and all they have to do is change their wiring into their panel box, it's probably gonna be $500-600. You can't get anything done for under $5 anymore.
No, you
Well,
can't.
right, or even finding an electrician.
Finding an
I mean,
electrician.
so maybe we talk to a couple electricians and see if we can get them on board.
Give them a heads up that
Like
this
this
might
is
be
something.
coming.
Logan did just reach out.
Okay.
He thought he was going to make it there at some point, just late, but I'm still in Dartmouth, so it seems like.
He's not gonna make it,
He's
yeah,
not.
okay.
So, Efficiency Vermont wouldn't help folks with, okay, I didn't think so.
No, they won't.
Can,
Sorry.
because of the, thinking about scheduling an electrician and scheduling you guys, can the electrician do that work before we get there, or does it all have to be done
No,
after?
We've got to disconnect and put meter socket in, so have it disconnect.
So it's gotta be coordinated
It's got to
somehow.
be coordinated.
So I wonder
And I
if
don't
we
see
find
it.
an electrician that would work with us as a subcontractor. I don't know, reach out to.
We don't want to be responsible for
No.
that end, so you
Yeah,
don't
we
want to be
can't
starting
recommend
recommend
an
an
electrician.
electrician.
Okay, but if we had an electrician on our books.
We
that
still,
did,
No.
we still don't want to do that.
we
We still wouldn't do that
Okay.
liability
No.
Okay.
work.
Because,
but-
I mean, technically, we're responsible to the meter,
Yeah, the meter to the house.
right? So even the entrance cable technically falls under that. When they put in a service, they're responsible to install that, and then we take it over.
Or maybe we give them a list of electricians that
You-
we've
we
reached
can-
out
we
to
can
and
do
say,
that.
these are
And they
some
can-
of the electricians we know that are
Right, and they
certified.
can- and they
And
can
we
pick
have
them.
that list in the office.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on your report?
No, that's it.
Any questions?
May I back up back to my report and the line of credit? You guys did authorize Shannon and me to enter into the 300,000 revolving loan last time. Could we change that to the 500,000 non-revolving loan
Yeah, you
with
probably should
M&T?
vote on that.
I
Yeah.
think if we could get a motion.
I'll make a motion to change that to a $500,000
Non-revolving.
non-revolving fund
With M&T based on the
with
proposals.
M&T Bank.
Thank you. That's great.
I will second that, but do we have to say my name? As Shannon as the signer? Okay,
I think
I
the
will
minute-
second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Thank you.
passed. Absolutely. Okay. Number 7, discussions and action on this Slousley McCoy Financial Systems
We
audit
did
report.
that.
We did that one? We did that already?
Did that.
That- I think we're on to the budget stuff.
Yeah,
I
you're on
believe.
9.
Discussions and action on 2026 operating and capital budgets.
So in the clipped version of the stuff I gave you, the loose sheets, you should have this summary sheet and then the line item budgets. I'll walk you through what those are. And then Michael's got available electronically the details, any details you have questions on, we can delve into them. But let me start with this sheet if I could.
I have it.
Great, Shannon, you got yours?
Oh, yes.
It's, yeah, it should. Great, I think that's it. All right, so here's the thing. I mentioned the power and transmission costs. Last month, when we first presented you a budget, it was a little negative. We worked on that and came up with a different, we reduced it so that we had a net gain, a positive budget of 19,000, almost $20,000, $19,966.55. When we got the power increase costs, and that goes through yesterday's, of 14.8% increase, everything else staying the same, we went to a net loss of over $900,000. So again, balanced budget, 20,000 to the good, 24,000 to the bad with that information. We went back today and tried to figure out what type of rate increase you need to have a balanced budget again, and it comes to 14.3% rate increase. It would probably be 7%, roughly 7, half of that over the course of the whole year. But remember, we're not allowed to establish rates in arrears. So we would get effective July 1st, so basically half the year you've got time to make up that whole year's worth of revenue. So that's where we end up at the 14.3% rate increase. I'm not happy about that, but I don't know what to do about it. Everything else has stayed the same. Let me talk about some of the assumptions that we've made going into all three of these versions. First of all, we're proposing a 4.5% labor increase for everybody. That includes the discussion of the union contract, which I'll get into in executive session, but that's what they have agreed to, if we agree to it. But it's 4.5%. Our original budget that we presented to you in October just put in as a placeholder a 5% increase. And so we're down a little bit from that. We had included in that budget a 4% increase in power costs, which obviously has been blown away by this increase. And the other kind of big driver was a 7% increase for health insurance. In B, the Department of Public Service and the Public Utility Commission established that rather than wait, multiple years and then come in with a big rate increase like we did last year, they've established a system where you could pretty easily get a 2 to 3% increase each year, so that it was kind of following more like inflation, and you wouldn't have to go through a big rate case to do that. So the original proposal that we had included a 2% rate increase. You can do up to 3% for that, but we had achieved a balanced budget with the 2, so we didn't suggest that. The current versions include, we're now up to 14.3, but even with the example to show you what the loss is due to the power and transmission, we had proposed a 3% rate increase as part of that, and we still lost $923,000. So the version before you, for you to consider, that I would, and we can do this one of two ways. The version 12, so we've been through a lot of iterations of this. Version 12 includes the 14.3% rate increase and gets us to a balanced budget with a net gain of $12,000 on an $11 million budget. Version 11.1 does not include that rate increase and leaves us anticipating a loss of the $923,000.
Well, that's not worth discussing.
Yeah,
Is
yes,
it?
right.
Is it?
Thank you. I mean, yes. The
I mean,
option.
we couldn't survive.
No, we
So.
can't. We can't survive, but if you felt disinclined right now to approve that type of rate increase, you could have a couple of months leeway here. You could approve the basic budget and come back and visit that in May when we have to file an actual rate increase. And
Because the rate increase that we file is not guaranteed.
true, that's right. And so there's a reason to be hesitant about approving a budget with a rate increase that you don't know you're going to get, right? But those are the choices that we currently
When will
have.
we know about that?
You wouldn't know about, well, you'll know, we'll have a little more information in May because we'll have gotten into the new fiscal year by 5 months and we'll know what the actual power costs are compared to the estimate. Unfortunately, VIPS is pretty good at their estimates. They were within 2% this past year. So I'm not hopeful that you're going to see magic appear in those first few months.
So, version 11
Mhm.
isn't even, I mean, that
Right.
doesn't have the increase, so that's not anything
Right,
we
that
can
was-
consider.
No, that was,
Okay.
for informational
initial,
purposes
yeah.
only to
Just what
show
you
you
ha- okay.
what we had
All right.
when we started this conversation in October.
Okay,
Okay?
okay,
So it's really between number 2 and number 3 here in
Yes,
terms of
okay.
options.
Well, obviously, not discussion, right?
well, the way this is presented is we don't have a lot of leeway, and the couple of places where we do, which might be A or D, that amount wouldn't be significant enough to make a difference in the overall budget.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
Right.
These
So,
are
but
very
I
minor.
don't want to
yeah.
not bring it up just because we want people to know that we looked at everything.
all
But
Right.
options,
those,
yeah.
those two things.
No, you're right.
If we cut those, it wouldn't make any difference.
No, and if you
But-
turn to the next 3 pages, but skip the first one, because again, that was the October
Yeah,
presentation.
okay.
You can see that, oh, you got it up on the board, good. So people will be able to see this at home if they're looking, but you can see that the power costs, which includes transmission in our analysis, is 72.18% of our budget. So it's really just labor and overheads you've got any movement on. And the labor, for the 12 people we have, we're doing really well on that. And I think we're being fair to people, but not exorbitant in any way. So there really aren't a lot of meaningful levers here to pull to change this, other than short and long-term power and storage proposals that we'll continue to work on.
But the transportable, the trailer batteries
Yep.
essentially could
Yes,
make a big difference
it could
here.
make a big difference overall going forward.
And the solar project,
It will help.
That's not till,
It's not,
Solar's only gonna give us cheaper power, it isn't gonna help shave the peak.
Right.
The peak times are
Right.
not gonna be
That's
getting that
not till
solar.
2027.
right. There are two things with solar that are not helpful to us here in Ludlow. One is, sun shines when the sun shines, but most of the power is going to be in the summer. Our peaks are in the winter.
right.
The power is going to be mostly obviously during the day. In the summer, it's helpful for peak, when, you know, people go home and start cooking dinner and things like that. So when the days are longer, you get a little benefit from that, but it's not like really structured to help with where our problem is, which is winter
Right.
peak loads. Whereas the batteries can help with that, and we can look at other potential power sources that would be better match for us. We do purchase some wind power. It's generally expensive when you look at it as just compared to other renewables on the table, but it comes when we have the most expensive power, so it actually is cheaper than other power you could buy at that time. Could look at more of that.
With the solar, is that, because we're a winter resort, but the solar's more of a summer thing, we
Yeah.
can sell that power though, right?
Yeah, we use that power. It definitely offsets the power we bring in, yes.
Yeah.
It's 1-to-1 for the power we bring in, plus we do get some renewable energy credits, which we currently buy because we don't have any generation.
Right.
Both that and the compressor projects are going to help with different tiers of the renewable energy credits that we have to provide.
So essentially, the battery projects are gonna be far superior to solar for us.
For the purposes of shaving peaks
Yeah.
and cutting back on the most expensive power we have to buy, yes.
Okay.
I do want at some point to share with you, it's in our audit reports every year, and I made a copy of those too that I didn't bring, but to show you what our mix right now is of power, where we get it from, and I'll just summarize it. In
Pie
general,
chart?
yeah, it's like a pie chart, it's a list, but it gives the sources of the power. You know, we get some from hydro facilities in New York. We get some from Hydro-Quebec. We get some wind from Stetson in Maine. We get some from solar projects around. We get some landfill gas project. We get also some power from, as a backup, and it's the most expensive power, and it's used when the base load really needs to come on. A few oil and gas plants in New England we buy from. But fairly low percentages of each, and I want to explore next year with VEPSA whether we can change the mix for us. We have some of our power purchase agreements are expiring in '27. So it's time to start planning like what makes the most sense for
How long are
Ludlow.
those agreements usually?
They're usually 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Some of them are life projects,
Okay.
lifelong, for as long as the project is running.
Did we look at wind?
We haven't looked too much at wind, to my knowledge. We have one wind project, the Stetson Wind Project in Maine, that we purchased into. There were going to be multiple projects coming online offshore of Massachusetts and Nantucket. Some of those got stopped with the new administration on the federal level. Some of them restarted, but where the power is going to go from those is that's a bigger picture. I mean, those are tens of megawatts of capacity that mostly Massachusetts utilities were going to buy, and we would have to be on a secondary market from those. But that is something we should look at, because the
Yeah,
wind-
maybe even approaching Vail about it, you know?
Yep.
If they're willing to work with us, that
Mhm.
might be,
Yep.
you know, throw a.
Yep.
You heard,
So-
you heard getting a permit.
But
I'll get my
it's,
dynamite license.
yeah, there you go. It's not out of the question. It is something we should talk about,
And they're
because
high maintenance too.
they're high
Are they?
maintenance. They're not
So they'd be
very.
hard to get to in the winter.
A lot of people find them not particularly attractive. A lot of people also are concerned about the environmental impacts of those on birds and things like that.
They're noisy too, aren't they?
And they can be noisy. But in my experience,
Solar air compressor,
in my
solar
experience,
compressor, so-
where wind power went wrong in Vermont was they always wanted to be at the top of mountains, right? Because that's where the.
Well, that's what I was
That's where the
thinking,
wind
yeah.
is, right? But that's where they cause the most aesthetic problem. You know, you can see them from 50 miles away. So people are seeing them on top of Vermont's hillsides, and they're not getting it, they don't perceive that they're getting any benefit from seeing those. But I think that there's something to be said and looked at for sacrificing, there's a sweet spot there where if you come down the slopes a bit and you site them in places that are more suitable and don't try and go as high, most of these are 400 feet tall.
Right.
And, you know, you sacrifice a little bit of the power that you're getting in exchange for a more, a project that's more amenable to people. There may be something to look at there.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
that's
wonder if
where-
Bill would work with us on something like
Maybe.
that, just, I mean, if you have the ski lifts and you have the,
Yeah,
You
so
know,
you could
like,
picture
it's-
some things there that wouldn't be adding significantly to the
Right.
aesthetic
Yeah.
issue of that. Yeah, there may be something there, and I think it's worth looking at. And
Yeah.
I think that's something we should be doing.
and would that provide us more Rex credits as well, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And Vail is, you know, they are trying to be greener, that's why they're.
Right.
Well, it's one of the reasons they're doing the compressor project, but, you know, there's definitely a big financial savings for them
Right.
in not buying diesel for those.
Yeah, well, I heard that in the TRB meeting that it seemed, they were very happy about the admissions and all, you
Good,
know,
yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Over the course of the life of that project, it's something like 8 to 10 million gallons of diesel fuel that they'll save.
Wow.
You know, and at $3.50, I'm sure they get a better price, but for
Yeah,
UNE, it would be
yeah.
$3.50 a gallon in current
Good.
prices, so.
So I've got a couple of questions
Yeah.
on the budget, make them quick.
What page are you on?
I'm on
V12?
V12,
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm just looking down the summary of the totals.
Yep.
And I think, just tell me again, what are membership dues
Okay.
for
There are several,
300,000?
one is, can you tell me the line item so I make sure I'm doing?
It's down toward the bottom,
Yep.
looks like eight.
Oh, eight.
Eight.
You know, why we started renumbering, I'm not sure, but 8. That consists, probably 2/3 of that is VEPSA membership. The monthly fees that we pay them for their services and that membership in VEPSA. The other third, so maybe 100,000, we do NEPA,
Apple.
APPA.
APPA, the American Power Purchase, Power,
American
Policy.
Power,
American Power,
American
Something
Public Power
Association.
Association.
thank you, Public Power
Okay,
Association, thank you.
so that's not included in the overheads,
No.
correct? Okay,
That is
So
not,
if you
Oh.
look here, up on the screen, I don't know if you can see it.
well, maybe you can.
I have it here
I
in front of me.
cannot.
can you make
Top
it a
line-
little larger?
But
Michael?
it's okay, I don't need it, no, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
There we go.
We have some membership dues for APPA NEPA, and
Right.
that is, $7,500. We, at the office, we have $150 worth of membership dues, $8,000 for other office membership dues. And
Can you
then-
give some examples of that?
Yeah, I was,
Michael?
you know what, you
Oh.
don't have to for me anyway, but can I get a breakdown of that, just so I can see it?
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
certainly get you
And,
that.
and what that mean, I mean, what do we?
What do we
you
get
tell
for
me,
each of
yes,
those?
you tell me
Yeah.
what the membership fee is,
And
and
what it's
what do we
for.
get for it?
Fair
And
enough.
it doesn't have to be a
Yep.
big, long thing, but just
Okay.
so, because it's a big part of our budget.
It is, and as I said, most of it is the VEPSA. CDA is who we buy the power from, and there's dues associated with that component of the power and transmission, we just lump it all into this one category. But we can do that for you and get you more detail on it.
And 31 consulting outside services,
Mhm.
is that primarily the attorneys?
It's legal, and it's also the electrical engineer that we use, Alan Rice.
Okay.
Who basically does all of our, anytime we're doing any type of electrical work, like the interconnection for the solar project, he's, providing the engineering associated with that for
I'm
us.
just
Yep.
looking at some big items. Number
Yes,
10,
yep.
medical and safety supplies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of medical.
That's almost
safety.
$100,000.
So most of this is related to the outside shop, I believe, in terms of like glove testing and buying gloves and buying equipment that is part of that. I'm not sure how much of it is medical versus safety.
79,000 of it is our insurance,
Oh,
workers' comp insurance.
geez, so that's
okay.
included there.
Well, that does,
Okay, that
yeah.
makes sense, yeah.
All right.
You wouldn't know that.
No, you wouldn't know
didn't
that unless you
ask.
asked. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Right.
that definitely makes
Um,
sense.
Michael.
So, one other question I have when I'm looking at this, I noticed in percentage-wise, overheads is almost as much as labor.
Yep, yep.
So, but part of that is medical and safety, I guess. But I'm just
No, it's a good
pointing
question.
that out.
We have- yeah.
That if you say, okay, we spend $1 million, whatever, for labor,
Yep.
well, we spend almost that in the
Right.
overhead
It's
for that labor,
Yep.
which I assume is insurance.
Yes, it's insurance, it's medical insurance, it's the workers' comp insurance. What else would
Life
be in-
insurance,
Life insurance.
vision insurance, dental insurance,
Those are relatively
Um,
small.
and our payroll taxes.
Okay.
Our-
Payroll
But my-
taxes are pretty
My point
significant.
is
Yeah.
that for every person, for every labor expense that we have,
You
we
want
have almost
almost
that
as in
equal
salary.
amount of
Mhm.
expense in overhead for that employee.
Right, in benefits
So-
and other stuff, yeah.
So, part of my point in saying this is that, hopefully the employees recognize that and understand that as being significant.
Yes, I hope so. We do remind them periodically.
Okay,
And
all right. But
today
it's
being,
interesting
today
when you-
being a good example.
When you
yeah.
see it in black and white,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a lot different than looking at a 4.2% increase. Doesn't
Correct.
seem like very much, but when you add it all together and you put it in that percent.
Yes.
Okay. that's it.
Exactly, and, an example that used today is like, you've generously paid for the employees' VEMR's contribution to the retirement. The company pays about 15% or so. The employee is supposed to pay 11.5%. We've traditionally paid for it all. So 11.5% out of somebody's salary, right, off the top, is what you're talking about paying into that retirement. And you guys have done that. We're now
And
asking them to
that's
do
part
one.
of-
That's
part of
part of
that
that.
8%. Okay,
Yep.
that's it for me. Thank you.
Yep,
I have a question about the property tax, being
Sure.
that we're a municipality.
yeah.
Property tax, we do not pay the village property taxes.
Right.
We pay taxes in lieu to the village. And that is set by you it's just a set figure that you decide we're gonna pay the village.
What have we been paying traditionally on that?
$26,104.70.
There you go.
You just
There you go.
randomly picked.
He just randomly picked.
Don't know where it
So,
came from.
although
It's
we're
been
not
that way.
required to pay taxes, typically, we do pay in lieu of taxes, and that's a relatively small amount of the taxes. But what you see here in terms of the bulk of the taxes is, we pay the town the bulk, the rest of that, and it's also not just for the shop, or, right, which is.
Yeah, it's not for the shop.
It's not for the shop,
The office.
but it's for the
your
poles,
lines,
for the lines and poles. We pay a tax
Oh.
And
on
we also pay
that.
Cavendish and
Plymouth.
Plymouth.
in Plymouth for the,
Property
for the,
tax.
So
for the.
TDS pays a part of that.
No, they have to pay their own property taxes on those same
Yeah,
poles
I
and
mean,
lines.
that's not part of what comes out of us. They have to pay that
In
in
addition,
In addition to
this.
this, so they're incurring a similar cost for the lines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ah.
but it's the poles and the easements associated with
Yeah.
those that is triggering most of
And
this.
those poles and lines are by far our biggest property tax.
Yeah, gotta be, right.
And it's
And-
going up by 12%.
And if the town and village, if the
Merge.
merger goes through, then the town of Ludlow, that will go away and that will be in lieu of taxes
Well, you'll
as
have to
well.
decide what you're willing to pay the town for the privilege of having poles and wires around.
So what they're willing to accept.
Yes,
Because you can't tax yourself.
yeah.
Okay.
Other categories you'd like to explore? Or is that?
not me.
Did you have anything, Michael, on the budget, or?
Other than that big surprise with the power cost, I mean, Chris and I got floored when we got
Oh.
that number. It was like, what?
Yeah,
And we had a very, very productive meeting with Bevsa, and she did a really good job explaining what, and it's really not any of our contracts that are driving it. It's things outside of anybody's control.
now, does it go back to like the tariffs for, like, Canada to the US?
Mhm.
Is that something, because I know we,
Right. We have a very minor percent of Hydro-Quebec.
Right, I knew that. It's like a-
Yeah, and we asked that early on when the tariffs were being proposed, and
Mhm.
VEPSA said it's likely to be a very small amount. And since then, the tariffs are changing every day. I'm not sure the president actually imposed tariffs on the hydro. I don't know
but
that.
I don't think he did.
Canada did.
Canada,
Canada-
on our stuff going to them, yes, but not any of their power coming to us. It did not go
I was
through
wrong
our
about that.
tariff.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
vice versa.
No.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure did that get implemented? Because I think
No,
that was
I-
set up as a retaliatory thing if
Yeah.
we did charge
Yes,
tariffs for
yes.
their power coming in. So I think none of that has happened,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
And it's not anticipated to happen at this point.
Okay. Few more years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it a day, it will change.
I forget, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough to not, I know, it's tough to not weigh in.
And someone was doing that kind of grimacing or whatever, and they, if they realized they forgot that it was being filmed, and it was like, I wanted to say, don't
Right, right.
do it.
Right,
Don't do it.
yeah, best to,
Okay.
as my mother used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say.
Bite your tongue.
So I have a comment that I like the way that you put this together. It was, the summary was easy to read, easy to
Yeah.
understand.
Great, yeah.
And it made it easy to ask questions.
Yes,
So thank you.
And it's just gotten
Thank you.
better.
Thanks for,
Every time, I tell you,
Excellent,
the
good.
work that you guys have been doing in the office, it
Thank you.
really, every meeting it shows.
Okay, thank
It
you.
really
We
does.
appreciate that, and yeah, and the reason we wanted to be live here with Michael's spreadsheets is that, like, if you had questions about the membership, we could pull it
Right.
up, but we can get you more detail as you
yeah,
ask for.
and,
Yeah.
yeah. I
But we
don't-
could have done that with any of these categories, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and to help you a little bit with the overheads, all these categories I've highlighted in yellow here,
Mhm.
the employee benefits, most of it is health insurance, $429,000 in health insurance.
And that's gone up, 7%?
And then 363,000 in retirements. 91,000 in payroll taxes.
Mhm.
So those are basically our benefits right there.
That's a
And that's why our
substantial,
overheads
yeah.
are very high.
Yeah.
They are high.
Yeah, they are.
And you'll find most utilities have a very high overhead rate. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Speaking of other utilities, I want to express on power and transmission, they're all experiencing this too.
Yeah.
They're all raising it with the commissioner and PUC. It's why we got the 21.5% increase without any
Good question.
question.
They probably already knew it was going up another 14.
Yeah, so that's, what my concern is that I'm not an elected official, but I feel responsible for something that I really have no control over. And to go to the ratepayers and say, we can't do this every year, and I have no reason to believe it's not going to be every year right now. It's just, I have no clue, other than, again, us refocusing our effort on in-service territory generation. I don't see another real,
Because most of the ratepayers are seeing the same personally in their own
Right,
budgets.
right.
The same increase
Right.
that we're seeing to cover our overhead.
Right.
In terms of insurance and that kind of thing.
Exactly, they're seeing that,
So,
and then they see the utility bill go up, and the buck stops with them. They actually have to pay it. We can pass it through.
they're paying theirs, but it's all
Yeah.
good. It's all
But
good.
essentially, I mean, as far as like most electrical companies in Vermont, no one has raised their rates in 10 years. And now all of a sudden with this huge, all of a
Right.
sudden everyone's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that's true across the board.
Yeah.
And it's also true that that's what the Public Utility Commission was trying to get away from when they kind of authorized the up to 3% each year without a formal rate case, like so.
Right.
Just to try and get you to do it
Because all of
regularly.
a sudden,
Yeah, exactly. So, I think what we're looking for is a decision on either version 11.1 or 12, the difference being postponing the decision about predicting the rate increase. And I see pros and cons to both of those, and I think you do too. So I don't know how you would like to proceed.
Do you, you don't need a motion at this time? Do you?
Probably
would you
do,
want-
yeah.
do you
We want
want
to
one?
start, with an approved budget, January, so yes. I would
Okay.
like to-
I'll make wait a minute, let me find the right. I'll make a motion to approve budget version 12.
Okay.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will pass budget version 12,
Thank you.
the labor increase.
Thank you. Unlike this budget, the capital budget has been stable since the original proposal we gave you in October. Michael, can you bring that up briefly? Because I don't have
Yeah.
it. You don't have that
Something
paper
else, sorry.
version in front of you unless you had brought that with you from past.
But there's no.
There's no
changes
Yeah.
No.
to it.
The main things in the upcoming year are the AMI meters, substantial portion of it. The bucket truck, those things have been built in. We've got all the trucks on a rotational schedule, so you see those come through. Same with computers, the major equipment purchases we have staggered out based on the lifetime of those cell phones, iPads, computers,
Yeah.
trucks, so all of that now is on a regular
I know.
5-year, 3 to 5 year schedule,
Well,
depending
we
on the.
started with those iPads, what, a year ago, year and a half ago?
I think it was when I first got here,
It was
shortly
right when you
after I got
first
here.
got
So
here,
yeah, it
or
would be a
right
year
before
and 3
you got
months,
here.
yep.
Yeah.
And that's, everything seems good with that. I mean, everyone's trained on them, they all are using them.
They're working very, very good for our AMI meter installation, because the guys can take their iPads, go out, plug in and say, I'm putting this meter
Yeah.
out, taking this meter out, putting this meter in,
Yeah.
take photographs of them, comes right into our system. Those iPads are doing a great job for that.
Good, it's
working
helping you.
wonderfully, yes.
Is it work orders and all the,
Yep, through service orders
Good.
at that point, and
Good.
it's helping out tremendously.
Good.
Now we have all those photographs of all the meters that are going in and out in
Uh-huh.
our system. We can talk to the customer and say, yeah, I can see that your meter was taken out on this date, and this is the meter
Awesome.
number, and, yeah.
okay, good.
And the other better thing, the great thing about the GIS system is all of that is integrated by spatial location too. So any pictures we take of poles, any pictures we take of, the meters and things like
Yeah.
that, all get, you can go on a map and find those,
Excellent.
so.
Yeah, good, okay. Okay,
So there's the
You want a
capital budget
motion
right there now.
to executive session?
sorry, what was
Oh.
that, Michael?
Yep, that's the capital,
budget.
that's the capital
Okay,
budget.
yeah.
Highlighted the items there.
Yeah. Excellent, nice work. So
$2.2
much
million.
easier reading it this way, I mean,
Changes.
compared to,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so, yes, we would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Oh, can we get an approval of the capital budget first?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
If you
I
like-
didn't
if you like
realize
it that
we were
much, I don't-
approving that
Okay.
as well.
All right,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I entertain a
I-
motion.
Go ahead.
Well, I think,
You
Entertain
want
a
a
motion.
motion to approve
The capital
the
budget.
capital budget, which there's no changes to it?
Not since October, but you never acted on it in October.
Oh, all
Right.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
it was presented to you.
I'll make a
Yeah,
motion
thank
to
you.
approve the capital budget as presented.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
I didn't
Capital
realize
budget
we didn't.
approved.
I didn't realize we don't.
Okay, now we're ready for executive session.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of personnel and contractual matters, including IBEW union agreement.
Thank you.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.